At this point in his career, it's not really a hot take to say that Ja Morant is a future superstar. I'd say at this point, the second overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft has proven that he has the potential to become one of the league's premier talents. Really, it's just a question of how long it's going to take the 21-year-old to reach that potential. He had a very solid season this past year, and he was paramount in helping the Memphis Grizzlies reach the NBA playoffs for the first time in his career. They managed to take down the Golden State Warriors behind Ja Morant's sensational performance, where they would proceed to lose to the Utah Jazz in the first round in 5 games. There are some who thought Morant should have taken the next step to stardom this year, but in my personal opinion, he wasn't quite there, and expecting him to reach his potential in his second year was some pretty wishful thinking. He had his fair share of problems, he came off an injury, and he was without Jaren Jackson Jr. for a good portion of the season. Not to mention all of the issues that resulted as a product of the pandemic that the team as well as the entire league had to deal with. This next season is where we're really going to get to see Ja Morant take the next step, and that's what I'm going to try and explain in this video, so let's get into it. Last season, Ja Morant averaged 19.1 points per game and 7.4 assists on a true shot percentage of 53.7%, which is a relative true shot percentage of -3.5. I'm not really too concerned about the fact that his shooting declined this year, mainly due to the fact that a lot of second-year players go through this sophomore slump. You also have to take into consideration that between the 2019 and 2020 and 2020 and 2021 NBA season, the NBA was still dealing with the pandemic, and legitimate training camps weren't able to happen at the time, and there were all sorts of challenges in terms of his ability to develop as a player. Fundamentally, he's made some great improvements in his shot, going from being a quote-unquote chest shooter, meaning that the release point of his shot was at his chest, to now shooting the ball just above his right eye. There are still some areas of his shot that need improvement, and I highly recommend watching basketball coach Allen's video on Morant's shooting form. I'll leave a link to that in the description. What really excites me about Ja Morant is the fact that he is an absolutely elite finisher. He is legitimately among the best of the best in the entire NBA in regards to talent when finishing at the rim. He actually ranks in the top 10% of the league in finishing talent. He improved drastically from his rookie season, ranking in the 80th percentile for rim finishing in his rookie season, and now being 94th percentile in rim finishing. He has really good ball handling ability, and his speed and control through traffic make him a really tough player to guard when he's slashing to the basket. This results in some really nice gravity to accentuate his playmaking ability, giving him the opportunity to kick out to his teammates on the perimeter for easy open threes. He also has a really nice floater game, something that was on display against the Warriors in the play-in game. His ability to stop and go to find and create open space in the paint or at the elbow or the free throw line to get off a floater over bigger defenders creates all sorts of problems for the defense. Most of his shots come at the rim, and he shoots 64% at the rim, which for a slashing playmaker is a great percentage to be at in your second year. His finishing ability draws many comparisons to Russell Westbrook, and in regards to his finishing ability this season, he actually ranks higher than the last 5 seasons that Russell Westbrook was in OKC, which is a very promising sign for Morant's development. Now, don't interpret this as me saying Ja is better than Russell Westbrook or anything like that. My point is that it's a promising sign of development, and there's no reason to be worried that he's not dropping insane numbers just yet. He's right where he needs to be. I'm not concerned about his shooting as much just yet, simply because when you look at what he did in the playoffs, he improved from a true shot percentage of 53.7% to a true shot percentage of 57.8%, a number which is more on par with league average. Not to mention, he averaged 30.2 points per game over the span of 5 games and recorded almost 1 assist per game more than his regular season average. Let's get to what is, in my opinion, the most exciting part of Ja's game, which is his playmaking ability. The Memphis Grizzlies record a 116.8 offensive rating with Ja on the floor, which is plus 4.7 better than league average. When he's off the floor, that offensive rating declines to 107.6, which is minus 4.7 worse than league average. This should give you a good idea of just how impactful Ja Morant is. He raises the team's offense by so much with not only his scoring ability, but his playmaking ability as well. The Grizzlies' offense seems to struggle without him on the floor, and it becomes below average while it elevates to above average when he is on the floor. He generates almost 20 points off of assists per 75 possessions, a statistic in which he ranks in the top 4% of the league. He frequently makes high-quality passes, he can operate in a pick and roll effectively, and he's really crafty when utilizing his scoring gravity to create open looks for his teammates. His box creation comes in at a 9.9, meaning he creates 9.9 open looks for his teammates per 100 possessions. He struggles defensively, partially due to his size, and partially due to just not having a ton of time logged in the NBA just yet. For young guys who only spend a year in college, a lot of defensive ability just comes with getting a feel for the game and getting time to learn NBA offenses. With his athletic gifts, he should have no issue adjusting as a defender over time and becoming serviceable at the very least. Keep in mind, for a good chunk of the year, he was without Jaren Jackson Jr., who's one of the most promising young big men in the entire league. Jaren Jackson possesses some very exciting shooting ability, and the pick and pop between Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. has the potential to be a very lethal offensive weapon for years to come. Looking at a potential starting five next year for the Grizzlies, we can see some strengths and weaknesses for them heading into next year. Just about everyone in that lineup is a solid finisher at the rim outside of Dillon Brooks. Both Ja Morant and Kyle Anderson are two competent playmakers. One area where I see the Grizzlies progressing, though, is in the spacing department. Despite Steven Adams hurting the spacing, Brooks, Ja Morant, Anderson, and Jaren Jackson Jr. are all solid enough three-point shooters, or at the very least should progress enough to be serviceable next year. The Grizzlies can also get creative with their lineups and try out variations of their starting lineup, with Xavier Tillman starting over Steven Adams, as Tillman has shown a lot of promise. This relates very closely to Ja Morant because the better his teammates are, the better the opportunity is for him to succeed. Ja Morant is already one of the most offensively potent young players in the NBA, ranking highly among many of the biggest offensive impact metrics that we have available. There's no reason that he shouldn't progress. There's also a commonly held concept that typically a player slumps in their second season and then they tend to improve significantly into that star player in their third year. From my understanding of Ja Morant's work ethic, there's no reason that he shouldn't take that leap next year from promising young player to promising young star. He's already on the cusp of being a nightly 20-10 guy, and if his scoring continues to improve, there's no reason he can't be one of the top scorers in the league, given his physical tools, finishing, and ball handling ability. So what do you think? Do you think that Ja Morant has MVP potential? Be sure to leave a comment below and let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.